Good afternoon. My name is Jerry DeWeese, and I am a student at LeTourneau University, currently getting my master's in clinical mental health counseling. And I'm going to talk to you today a little bit about obsessive compulsive disorder, or OCD. Obsessive compulsive disorder, or OCD, is a commonly called psychological disorder which involves two major functions: obsessions and compulsions. This can affect anyone at any age, any walk of life. The term obsessive compulsive disorder, or OCD, as we know it today, was once called obsessive compulsive neurosis. It has been historically back to the 14th century with signs of obsessive and compulsive thoughts. The biggest form of obsessive compulsive neurosis was considered to be of religious in nature or origin, as people were overly concerned about their sins or their religious viewpoints. Another term for OCD was once known as scrupulosity, which is Latin for a sharp stone or pain. The Diagnostic Statistic Manual for Mental Disorders, version 5, has diagnostic criteria for obsessive compulsive disorder, which they include the presence of obsessions, compulsions, or even both. The recurrence, and this involves two different areas: the recurrence and persistent thoughts, urges, or images that are experienced at some time during the disturbance, usually very intrusive and unwanted, and that in most individuals it has caused much anxiety or distress within the individual. The individual attempts to ignore or suppress such thoughts, urges, or images to neutralize them with some other thought or action. And this is where the compulsion comes into play. Compulsions are defined by one and two thoughts. Repetitive behaviors usually come into the thought of washing hands, ordering, checking, or mental acts, praying, counting, repeating words silently that the individual feels driven to perform in response to an obsession or according to rules that must be applied rigidly. The DSM also requires for compulsions, the behaviors or mental acts are aimed at preventing or reducing anxiety or distress or preventing some dreaded event or situation. However, these behaviors or mental acts are not connected in a realistic way with what they are designed to neutralize or prevent. Young children may not be able to articulate the aims of these behaviors or the mental acts. The obsessions or compulsions are very time-consuming. Ideally, they take more than 1 hour or even 1 day, or cause clinically significant distress or impairment in social, occupational, or other important areas of functioning. In the social realm, it's very difficult for them. The obsessive compulsive symptoms are not attributable to the physiological effects of a substance, such as drugs of abuse, medication, or another medical condition. There are the types of obsessions can include fear of germs, fear of loss of control by harming themselves or even others. One of the biggest things that I found was very intrusive, sexually explicit and or violent thoughts and images. Fear of the loss of things or not having certain things needed. A certain order or symmetry of items must line up right. or even perfect. Types of compulsions include excessive double checking of things such as locks, appliances, and even switches. And one of the things that I remember was As Good as It Gets, the movie As Good as It Gets, where Jack Nicholson's character has obsessive compulsive disorder because he will lock the door, unlock it and lock it several times. He's even very obsessed with stepping on certain cracks in the throughout the movie. He will not step on certain lines. There was one point in the movie where he actually took baby steps to get into it, because there were little bitty mosaic tiles on the floor that he did not want to step on. Types of compulsions can, which we talked about, the locks, appliances, and switches. Constant checking on loved ones to ensure that they are safe. Counting, tapping, repeating of certain words. Excessive washing of hands or the body. Hoarding of things, and hoarding is one of the biggest ones that we see that occurs most times, and that's actually seen in certain TV shows such as Hoarders. And a lot of the times what they're hoarding is things that have no significant value, either monetarily or historical value to them. They could be sheets of paper, they could be trash. There's so many different types of compulsions in that realm. So hopefully what you have learned today has helped you understand obsessive compulsive disorder a little bit better. I believe that certain people have certain obsessions and certain compulsions, but not to the extent where it would be considered a mental disorder, where there are a lot of people who do have overboard or excess of the obsessions or the compulsions. I hope you have a great day, and thank you for listening.